Hi there. In this video, I'm going to share with you my story about drinking and over drinking and over desiring alcohol. And I'm going to tell you how I got to the point where I have found freedom, where I can trust myself around alcohol again. I'm Stephanie Colson. I am a certified life coach, and I help women drink less, trust themselves around alcohol, and live their best lives. So my upbringing was where, alcohol was in the home. Alcohol was present a lot, I would say. And I had a lot of observations about what alcohol was for an adult and how it plays in our lives, even if though it was subconscious. It wasn't something I thought about or even acknowledged until I started studying the work of stopping over drinking and getting certified. But my parents, I remember my dad coming home and having a drink after work. I remember drinks on Sunday dinners. I remember drinks at barbecues, drinks at celebrations, funerals. There was always alcohol. Very normal. I think that is pretty much our society in general. There is alcohol. It is a very normal thing to do. And so for me, when I became an adult and I started drinking, I just thought it was normal. I never really gave much thought to it very much. It wasn't until I started really starting to question things when I started drinking more often than I wanted and more than I wanted. And then I started, looking at other people and thinking, am I drinking as much as them? Granted, at a party, it's hard to really make a good point of reference when everybody seems to drink more at a party anyway. But I started drinking between the parties, between the weekends, and more often and more than I wanted to. So I started drinking in high school, started experimenting then. Um, I used it as a way to fit in, to feel connected. I moved to a high school where I moved away from my elementary childhood friends and I started a new high school in the same town, but it was almost like moving and starting from scratch. And I think at that time I didn't feel like I connected to people. I didn't know people. And making friend groups and trying to fit in, alcohol was a part of that. And so I did start drinking in alcohol to fit in, to feel, funnier, more confident, I didn't want to be the person who wasn't drinking. And I guess I did find people that were into drinking at that time. So I'm sure there's a lot of high school kids that don't drink, that didn't drink back then. Then in college, I started drinking more binge drinking. My 20s, I started drinking even more. I think that's like where I started becoming more on the weekday habit of doing it because going to happy hour and I would, find, if I got invited, I would usually say yes to going to happy hour and having drinks after work during the weekdays. But when I really started to take notice and start to think, okay, I'm not, it started to become a problem where I'm, being more hungover, forgetting conversations, worrying about how I acted at parties or in social gatherings. I think where I really took notice was after the birth of my first child. I have three kids, and I went from being a school teacher and working full time to staying home with a child and just having acclimate. There's no rule, there's no manual, there's nothing when you have a kid, and I just felt very lonely. I probably had postpartum depression. Um, I just remember watching the clock, couldn't wait until my husband would come home from work so I could have some adult interaction. And it was a struggle for me. And I started finding myself wanting to have a drink before he came home from work. And that started to kind of be like a fun thing to do. It seemed like a solution to my boredom. And then, it got worse over the years. I started doing it more often and drinking more often, still beginning about the same time, but hiding the drinks that I would have. I would act like I didn't have a drink before he came home from work. And I just started, really, my self-esteem started to go down, and I started to really think I had a problem. And it just, I guess it kind of stayed the same for many years. I had two more children, and it just was the way I coped with mommyhood. It was the way I took the edge off at the end of the day to kind of soften the edges with raising three young children. And it, About, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years ago, I really started thinking, okay, I've got to do something about this, but I didn't want to go to AA. There was not an option, very many options back then like there are now. It's really fantastic that there's so many different options now if you search for them. And I didn't want to be in an environment where I had to say I was powerless. I really didn't feel like I was powerless. I didn't want to say I was diseased. I didn't want to go to meetings where I felt like people were going to just focus on their past and their past digressions, and I just wanted to have a forward thinking way to handle and change this habit of drinking more often than I wanted to. And I wanted to really stop the drinking thinking. I was tired of thinking about drinking, and it just was starting to consume me too much. Like, no, I'm not going to drink tonight. Things like, I'm not going to drink tonight. And then I would drink tonight. And then the next day is like, oh my gosh, why did I drink? What's wrong with me? Beating myself up, trying to go, white knuckling it and using willpower. It just wasn't working. I would get so far and then I would just start back over, or sometimes drink more than I wanted to. And so one day I was just like fed up. I got onto the computer. I went to the Googles because I have a degree from Google University, which I'm sure all of you have as well. And I just wrote up, like, I want a kick ass life. I just want to change things. Um, and I don't know how to put it into words. So I just literally put that out there. And I had searched, like, is there a pill I can take? Is there, something quick? Is there something wrong with me? Am I an alcoholic? All sorts of things, which I didn't quite identify with. I knew I didn't need to go to rehab. I wasn't at that point. It was just drinking a bit too much, a bit too often. And I found podcasts. I found Google articles. I found, but it wasn't until I found a life coach, and it wasn't until I found a stopover drinking program where I learned how to manage my mind that really changed everything for me. Where I was told there is nothing wrong with you, that your brain is working exactly the way it's supposed to work. And I was like, what? How is this brain of mine, which I've been telling myself is broken and something's wrong with me for so long, how can this be that there's nothing wrong with me? So I was intrigued. I was like, tell me more. And I ended up joining that program and doing the work, and actually not just thinking about doing the work, but actually doing the work, putting the steps into practice and taking accountability for everything I do in my life on a daily basis. And that has changed everything for me. So, to where I'm at a point now where I can trust myself around alcohol. And if I make a decision to drink, that and I can stick to it. And if I, drink, I'm not going to beat myself up for it because I was tired of that merry-go-round ride. So that is my story. That is how I've gotten to where I am now. And when I never thought I'd be a life coach to help other people with the same with the same over drinking problems and the same over desire. I never would have had any of this had I not began the journey somewhere. Had I not made taken accountability and sat down and done the work. So I don't want to say I have any regrets about what happened in my past, because I would never be where I am here right now, making this video to share with you, to hopefully um, tell my story in a way that you can relate to, in a way that you can think, okay, wow, that sounds just like me. And if she can do it, I can do it too. So if you want to know more about working with me, if you want to know more about my program, there are links below in this video. And if you want to have more videos to watch where you can learn, why do you drink so much? I have a video on this YouTube channel that you can watch, and just take it slow. Do what you need to do. Listen to what you need to listen to, but I'm going to be here for you. And if you'd like to work with me, all the information is in the description below. And you can also find it on my website, stephaniecolson.net. All right, I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.